everyone, I am Shondi Monteith-Brown, your facilitator. Welcome to a video on workplace hazards and hazard management. Let us look at what is a hazard. A hazard is something with the potential to harm the health and safety of people at work. Common hazards that are found in the workplace environment include slippery floors, equipment stored untidily, uncovered drains, cracked or broken tiles, built-up garbage, sharp surfaces, broken glass, furniture and fixtures, unsuitable positioning of furniture, protrusion of sharp objects, defective electrical cords, malfunctioning equipment and tools, worn electrical insulators, overloading of electrical sockets, improper storage of hazardous substances, among others. Within the workplace, we will be focusing on the more common causes of hazards, which include noise, manual handling, hazardous substances, machinery and equipment, electricity, and biological hazards. It is said that excessive noise destroys delicate nerve cells in the inner ear that transmit sound messages to the brain. Some early warning signs of hearing loss include ringing in the ears after a noisy activity, difficulty in understanding what people say, or failing to hear noises like the telephone ringing, among others. The general rule is if you need to raise your voice to make yourself heard a meter away, your hearing is at risk. As it relates to manual handling, this is any activity that involves lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, carrying, moving, holding, or restraining an object, animal, or person. Some examples of actions that may cause manual handling injuries are work involving hard-to-control movements, too much bending or twisting, work where a long time is spent holding the same position, work that is fast, heavy weights which have to be lifted and carried manually, or work where force is needed to carry out a task. Unsafe manual handling activities can cause injuries that include strain and sprains, neck and back injuries, slips, trips, falls and crush incidents, cuts, bruises and broken bones, or occupational overuse syndrome, also known as repetitive strain injury. Hazardous substances are chemicals used in the workplace that can be dangerous to an employee's health. How dangerous a hazardous substance is depends on the type of substance it is, how it enters the body, and the amount of substance that enters. Hazardous substances enter the body in three main ways: breathing in, swallowing, or skin contact. The effects of exposure to hazardous substance can occur suddenly, example dizziness, nausea, itchy eyes and burns, and harm can also happen over a number of years, such as dermatitis or cancer. On the matter of mechanical equipment, they can cause serious injuries that include sprains and strains, open wounds, fractures, and amputation. Some injuries can even be fatal. The most frequent injuries from mechanical equipment are to hands and fingers. Eye injuries are also common. Employees should not use mechanical equipment if they are 1. Not designed to be safe, 2. Not well made, 3. Not properly guarded, 4. Not well maintained, 5. Going to be used to do something other than what it was designed for, 6. Going to be used in different conditions, and 7. If they're being illegally modified or changed. Electrical shock occurs when a person becomes part of an electrical circuit and the current flows through their body. A fatal shock is called an electrocution. Electrical accidents are usually caused by a combination of factors which include hazardous work environment, lack of training, lack of supervision, or poorly maintained equipment. A biological hazard is any agent that causes infection, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Some of the ways infections can be spread are by airborne droplets, throat and nose fluids, skin contact, blood, or body fluids. In managing hazards, there is an easy 4-step process to follow using the acronym SAFE. S. Spot the hazard. A. Assess the hazard. F. Fix the hazard. And E. Evaluate the results. Let us look at each step carefully. As we defined earlier, a hazard is something with the potential to harm the health and safety of people at work. In spotting the hazards, it is important that employees know how to identify hazards in a number of ways. For example, a review of illnesses and injuries occurring in the workplace identifies a problem. A workplace inspection or safety audit identifies a problem, or a hazard is reported by someone at the workplace. In step 2, assessing the hazard, an assessment should be done to determine the risk the hazard presents. Risk is an estimate of the chance of an injury or illness happening in a hazardous situation. Rating a risk will help you decide what hazards are more dangerous and should be corrected first. It can also tell you if action you have taken to correct a safety problem has been effective. A simple way of rating a risk from a hazard is to consider 2 questions. 1. How likely is it that the hazard could cause an injury or illness? 2. How serious would the consequences be if an accident or illness occurred? In step 3, fixing the hazard, there are 3 levels to that process. Level 1, eliminate the risk. This is where the risk is controlled by complete removal of the hazard. Level 2, minimize the risk. This is where the risk is controlled by taking action on the hazard. You can either substitute by replacing the hazard with a safer similar option, or engineer, altering how the work takes place. Level 3, backup controls. This is where risk is controlled by taking action on the people exposed to the hazard. These can include altering how people work, example, implementing safety signs, safe working procedures, or giving staff personal protective equipment to wear. In the final step, evaluate the results. Once the appropriate fix has been chosen, it is important to check that the control is working and has not created any new problems. It is also important to recheck a hazard occasionally because after a while, a chosen control measure may be less effective, or there may be a better way to control the hazard that was not thought of before. For additional reading on hazards and hazard management, you can visit the website being displayed. Thank you for watching.